Yo, what up, goons? This your week 5 start sits. We got you covered here. Now, before I get into the video, I just want to let you know these picks aren't your typical picks like your Jamar Chases, your Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, you starting you guys, but these are some of the picks that are kind of like a little bit sleepers, maybe your B and C tier guys that we think you need to get in your lineup or get out of your lineup in order to win your week in fantasy. So, my first start this week is Isiah Pacheco. Man, that guy is running like an old school Marshawn Lynch. The way he hits the ground, bro, it looks like he's pissed off or something. He's running, man, and he's finally starting to pick it up. Every week he's getting more and more carries, which I love it. Last week he went 20 carries for 115 yards, one rushing touchdown. And the bonus on that was that he actually caught 3 passes for 43 yards. That was good for 23.3 fantasy points. Start Isiah Pacheco this week. He's going against a bottom half Minnesota defense. I think this game's going to be a little bit of a shootout. If the Chiefs go ahead, I can see them trying to run out the clock with Pacheco. So, yeah, if I'm you, I'm starting Isiah Pacheco this week because it's finally starting to pay off. What do you guys think? Am I
Man, he
crazy?
looked
hmm
he looked real good last week. Yeah, some of those runs, man, it's nice to see because the Chiefs haven't really had that type of a running back for the last couple of years. I think obviously the Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick was a miss. It's crazy to think, but I'm pretty sure they could have had Jonathan Taylor,
Yeah.
which
Oh
they
my
which they
God.
did. Obviously don't. Can you imagine that team with JT? My
Oh my
goodness,
God,
man. But
bro.
yeah, I think last week like he really proved himself, and he's kind of between the tackles, power runner that they haven't had for some time, and it's pretty cool to see. And so yeah, I'm with you on that start.
Yeah, man, he's really singled himself out as the running back to start. At the beginning of the year, we didn't really know. Pacheco was going around like the sixth, seventh, eighth rounds. Jerick McKinnon wasn't going too far behind him, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, some people took a chance on him, but I think Isiah Pacheco for a seventh round pick, man, like damn, good for you, bro. Shout out Isiah Pacheco, man. This guy
Yeah.
runs hard. You know me, man. I love my running backs, and yeah, for me, my running back start of the week is going to be Isiah Pacheco. My start number 2, Michael Pittman, man. Last week was a down week for him. He only caught 1 pass for 15 yards. Um, it didn't really look that good out there. Anthony Richardson coming back from a concussion. Now, Anthony Richardson balled out. He had a great game. I think he finished with 27 or 29 fantasy points. But Michael Pittman is the clear number 1 option on that team. He's had 11 targets in the first 3 weeks. Last week, I think, was kind of a fluke. He's going against the Tennessee defense, which ranks 27th in pass defense, but they're number 3 in run defense. So Michael Pittman, he's going to be my wide receiver start this week for sure, man. He's too good not to get the ball. Um, yeah, man. So that's
Yo,
what's
I'm not
up.
mad at that pick at all, bro. I just wanted to point out before the game. I don't know if you guys caught this, but Anthony Richardson and Pittman, they both had the stepbrother shirts on with with each other's faces
yeah.
kind of there. So that
Oh man,
relationship is developing. I'm all right with that. Saying last week was a bit of a fluke. I think if their relationship starts to blossom off of the field, it's only going to get better on the field. And honestly, the numbers so far aren't so bad, man. I like that.
did we just become best friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, that's a good connection, man. Anthony Richardson looks really good this year. I know there was a lot of question marks coming in, but Anthony Richardson is a stud. I'm looking forward to that matchup. No, man. Who do you got, man? Who are your starts this week?
So my start of the week is running back Brees Hall. Earlier today, Robert Sala said there's no more pitch count for Brees
Oh,
Hall.
I
So all you
saw
Brees
That's
that.
Hall owners,
let's go.
whoo, that's
It,
music to your ears, baby.
it's time, baby. It's
And
finally time to unleash Brees Hall.
oh man, I can't wait. And for all you Dalvin Cook owners, I'm sorry to say, but it's Dalvin cooked. That's what he should be going by
Yeah,
now. This man looks washed. He's averaging 2.4 yards per carry.
bro.
This backfield is all Brees Hall now. Brees Hall is averaging 6.5 yards per carry. He's top 5 in evaded tackles per touch, and he's top 5 in yards per touch. He's doing this, and he's still not fully healthy. And now he goes up against the Denver Broncos, who have allowed the most fantasy points, the most fantasy yards, and the most fantasy touchdowns to running backs this year, and it's not even close. They're allowing
Yeah,
176 yards per game.
yeah,
Start
bro.
Brees Hall.
Yeah. Broncos country, let's ride all the way to the end zone.
Oh man.
Bro, man, oh my God, bro. That team is such a mess. They're so lucky they beat the Bears. Like, honestly, how do you almost lose to the Bears? The Bears are trash. Now, the Broncos are, honestly, I think the Broncos are worse than the Bears right now. The reason why I think that is because they actually have better talent on their team. They have a better coaching staff. They have an established quarterback who's actually won a Super Bowl before. So I think that, like, honestly, the Broncos are the worst team than the Bears, but they just ended up winning that game. So yeah, man, if you got anyone playing against that Broncos team, you got to start them, man. I love that
Auto
start.
start. Yeah, man. It's crazy to think too that that Broncos defense is so bad. Like they used to be
Right?
able to hang their hat on that, right? Like they had guys like Patrick Surtain and like all this defense that that used to be their calling. And then
Mhm.
Yeah.
you were supposed to add Russ and get better, and that really has not happened. It's gone the opposite.
Yeah, man. They just released Randy Gregory. They signed him to a huge 5-year, $90 million deal last year, or like 2022. Yeah, that was last year. They signed him to a big deal last year and they let him go, man. So I don't know what the hell's going on in Broncos County, but I'm not taking that ride anywhere, bro. Yeah.
I
Yo,
agree, man.
Snowman, who's your second start, bro?
So my next start is wide receiver Christian Watson. So his first game back was against the Detroit Lions. He played on 46% of the snaps in his debut, and he still caught a touchdown in the red zone. He finished the game with no setbacks, and he's now coming off of 10 days rest going into Sunday's matchup. I'm looking for him to restore that wide receiver one role on his team and dominate this Raiders secondary. I'm sorry, Raider Khalid, but
Oh
your
man.
Raiders,
Yo, don't piss me off, bro.
they're allowing a 69% catch rate to wide receivers. They've allowed 6 touchdowns and the 13th most points to fantasy wide receivers thus far. So I got
Yeah,
Christian Watson.
yeah. So what? It's still Raider Nation. No, man. You know what? I can't disagree with you there because all the wide receivers in Green Bay are balling out right now. We saw flashes of what Christian Watson did last year. The Raiders defense, it's been trash forever. I don't know why they have one of the highest paid offenses and they don't invest in their defense. They need to fire Josh McDaniels. He sucks. They need to get a new GM. Mark Davis needs a new haircut. There's a lot of new that needs to happen in Raider Nation right now, man. So I'm comfortable with you saying that. Am I depressed about it? Hell yeah. But logically, I could see where you're coming from, man. How about you, Sean? What do you got for us? Who's your start?
All right, my first start of the week is going along theme with what No Man had to say, and that is Garrett Wilson. I can't believe I'm saying this without Aaron Rodgers in the picture, but I think he's a really great play this week against the lowly Denver Broncos defense that we just talked about.
Mhm.
Garrett Wilson had 14 targets from Zach Wilson last week, so the volume is there. And yes, the MILF Hunter is not the most accurate, but that gives him a pretty good floor in terms of what Garrett Wilson can do. And he's always a red zone threat. We saw that with that unbelievable catch in, I think, week 1 or 2 in
Yeah.
the end zone. So I would say fire up Garrett Wilson. I know you drafted him in the first round and he hasn't really delivered, and that's from circumstances beyond your control. But I think this week, based on the play, give the boy Garrett Wilson a start.
Yeah, man. The Broncos defense made Justin Fields look like a really nice and accurate quarterback. And we know Justin Fields isn't the greatest out of the pocket. So yeah, I could definitely see that happening, man. For sure.
And
Definitely.
and Zach Wilson, I think he's got a chip on his shoulder going into this week, man. You heard Rodney Harrison after that Chiefs game. He was talking some smack on Zach Wilson's name, man, and he had a good game against the Chiefs defense.
Yeah, he
So
played better
I,
than
I like,
Mahomes,
Bro,
man. He had a higher
yeah, they
yeah,
were
pass
in
grade,
that game,
more
bro, all
yards,
because of that.
everything. Uh,
Yeah.
yep.
You know what, man? I'm just gonna quickly divert to this because like it's kind of crazy that some like a professional player, a former professional player would shit on somebody so hard like that. Like Zach
On
Wilson
live
is
TV.
trying, yeah, man. Like Zach Wilson's trying, and shout out to Chris Jones. Like obviously, I'm a Raiders fan, and I don't like anybody in our division. But Chris Jones with a class act, he defended Zach Wilson. He didn't fall for the bait. He didn't say anything stupid there. And I think Rodney Harrison needs to eat his words and apologize to Zach Wilson, aka the MILF Hunter, or else he might go for his mom or somebody. Something like that. I don't know. Zach Wilson comeback season. No, man, that's just not cool. The kid's balling out. He's still young. He still has a lot of leeway to go. Brees Hall's starting to get more touches. Garrett Wilson's an absolute stud. Alan Lazard's a 6'5" receiver that usually has a lot of red zone targets. I think everything is there. Once he gets out of his own head, I think he's going to do a lot better, man. If
Give it a little bit of time.
Yeah, for real, man. And that's just not cool. I know we rip on people, but who the hell are we? We're not on live television in front of millions doing that type of stuff. So that shit that wasn't cool, man. I didn't like that. Sorry, I didn't want to get too off topic for that, but I just wanted to show Zach Wilson some support, even though I'll never start him in fantasy.
Yeah, no, it's
I
cool,
just
man.
want to support Zach Wilson, the human, Yeah, because
Talk, man. I agree. Like this guy's a starting quarterback in the NFL. There's only 32 of them. I mean, this guy's. I mean, obviously it's from an injury, but he has the talent to be there. Sure, if you want to call him bad, but he kind of went across the line. I would say I agree with that, man.
Yeah, man, they haven't brought anyone else in, so until they do,
Yeah,
it's still Zach Wilson season. You
yeah.
have anybody else for us, Sean?
Yeah, I got one more as a start, and this is going to be wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens, Zay Flowers. Last week was a bit of a tough matchup. He was against the Cleveland Browns defense, which has been more than formidable. So it's a tough matchup, but it was also the first time in 4 weeks that he had less than 5 targets. He's playing 98% of snaps. He's been the best target outside of Mark Andrews this year, over Bateman, over OBJ. He gets the Steelers this week, who have given up a bunch of touchdowns to wide receivers and the fifth most fantasy points to receivers this year. I'm running Zay Flowers out there, and I'm feeling pretty confident doing so. So start Zay Flowers, and you should have a good chance in your matchup this week.
Yeah, the noise was they
Mm-hmm.
signed OBJ to like a $17 million deal. Bateman's coming back in next year. He ripped on the GM saying it's not our fault. You guys just need better plays. And you know what? The rookies come in and he's the one that's balling out. So I really like Zay Flowers, especially as the best rookie in this class so far. I can't really say anything about that. Quentin Johnson hasn't really gotten his chance yet. I think he's like wide receiver 100 or something on the season. That's not very good. Someone else who's even worse than that is Jackson Smith and Jigba.
It's been a
We all had
disappointment.
big faith in that guy, but it seems like Zay Flowers is the one that's emerged as the top wide receiver out of that class for now.
Yeah, I
And
put him
Other
up there.
than
Nakua.
wait, time out.
I,
My bad. Puka Nakua.
I got one more. I got one more as a rookie, and that's Jordan Addison. I think he's been
Yeah.
pretty solid,
Yep.
despite the donut he put up this week.
Yeah. I saw that. I was like, damn. But the most consistent out of all of them is Zay Flowers. Like these guys are getting touchdowns and everything. Zay Flowers has the most receptions out of all of them. So he's the most consistent one out of all those receivers for sure.
Yeah, I agree
So
with that.
before we get to our sits, remember to follow us on Instagram at GameDayGoons.tv. On TikTok, we got over 1 million views on our videos. Like we're going crazy out here. Follow us on our YouTube page. We go live every Sunday to help you with your start and sit questions. We got Thursday night game matchups for you. So yeah, hit us up, follow us on everything, and make sure the Game Day Goons got you covered so you don't have to make those hard decisions. Let us make them for you. All right, cool.
Straight up.
So let's get into our sets. So my set, it seems like every week I'm picking somebody from this team to set, and most weeks I'm right. I don't know if you guys can guess who I'm going to say, but it's Drake London. I'm sitting that guy this week. Drake London last week had 5 catches on 7 targets for 28 yards and a touchdown. He actually almost had 2 touchdowns. He was out of bounds, so it would have been a pretty salvageable day. But it's kind of weird to say this. Houston has not let an outside receiver catch a touchdown this year. They've been really stingy against outside receivers. And Atlanta doesn't like throwing the ball. They love to run the ball. If you look at it, Jonnu Smith right now is getting more targets than Kyle Pitts. What the hell is that all about? This is my one time to bring up Kyle Pitts in every video that I do. Why the hell is Jonnu Smith getting more targets than Kyle Pitts? I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, I'm sitting Drake London. He's wide receiver 51 on the season. We drafted him in the top 5 to 7 rounds. I don't know. The talent's there. I just think this is going to be a really tough matchup. Houston's very good against the wide receiver. So I'm sitting Drake London this week for sure. And then my sit number 2, I gotta go with Zach Moss or JT. Just that close backfield. I gotta sit Zach Moss. I know you might think that I'm crazy for saying that because he's getting about like 18 touches a week. He has been playing very well. He's RB16 on the year, and you got to remember he missed that first game. So he's playing very well right now. It has nothing to do with actual Zach Moss. It has more to do with that Tennessee defense. Tennessee is number 3 against the run this year. They've shut down a lot of great running backs. Zach Moss isn't the most talented running back. He's more of a volume play, and he does have some great plays, but I don't really trust him this week, especially with Jonathan Taylor coming back. He's practicing now. A lot of us didn't expect that, but if he's practicing, there's a real shot that maybe he'll play because it seems like that the Colts are not trying to play ball with him. I think the best option for him is to play out this contract and hopefully someone else signs him as a free agent because it seems like the Colts do not want to move Jonathan Taylor. So yeah, I'm definitely sitting Zach Moss. Plus, you also have Anthony Richardson who's vulturing all these goal line touchdowns. He's had a rushing touchdown in almost every game except for the game. Actually, even the game that he got injured, he had 2
Yeah,
rushing
yeah,
touchdowns. I
two.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think Anthony Richardson is such a dynamic quarterback. It's like back in the day when you had Cam Newton that would just vulture all those goal line touches. Yeah, I'm sitting Zach Moss. How about you guys?
Um,
oh, that's
so
that's fair. I was just going to comment quickly on the first one you had in Drake London. I think game script there was really important to understand that they were down early, so they had to throw the ball. As we all know, Arthur Smith loves to run that ball. And because they were down early, we got to see kind of what it would be like when they're in games where they're behind. And even with all of that said, he didn't get a ton of work. Like you're right, he almost got a second
mhm.
touchdown to kind of make it a better day. But I'm with you on that. I'd be sitting Drake London very easily for me.
Yeah, man, 5 catches for 28 yards.
Yeah,
That's not
yeah.
very good, man. Like he did get the touchdown, but Drake London's so boomer bust. He reminds me of Gabe Davis, man. Like Gabe
I don't
Davis
even think to
last
that
year,
extent, but yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah,
yeah,
Gabe Davis was very boomer bust.
last year at least, I know Gabe Davis was that guy, kind of like in that Drake London role. Everyone thought that he was gonna expand his role. He was going to get a lot more targets, be the true wide receiver number 2 on the Buffalo team. And he was just so boomer bust. And I feel like that's the same thing with Drake London. We're a third of the way done before we get to playoffs. So I think we kind of have a general idea of how these games are going to play out and how these players are going to play out. There are certain players that are coming back from injury, like Cooper Kupp, so we don't really know about Puka Nakua and stuff like that. But in general, the guys that are playing every week, we kind of know what's going down. It's not Drake London, it's Arthur Smith and Atlanta's game plan. So I totally agree
100%.
with you, Sean. Hondo P, man.
I agree.
Snowman, who you
Uh,
setting, bro?
so the first sit I have, as an Eagles fan, I'm a big Miles Sanders fan, but man, he's not looking too good so far. This offensive line is really bad. The offense in general is really bad. Adam Thielen's like the only one that's startable right now. He had 19 yards on 13 carries for a pathetic
Damn, bro.
1.46 yards per carry. He's
Damn.
also losing work to Chuba Hubbard. He got outsnapped by him 54 to 43% of the snaps.
Shout out
Uh,
Canada on that one.
Yeah,
yeah,
shout out Canada.
Yeah.
Shout
and
out Canada, eh?
yeah, he's now facing the Lions, who are allowing the 6th fewest points to running backs. So, and they're holding running backs to 2.9 yards per carry. Like this is a tough matchup, and I don't even know if he's 100% healthy with that groin injury. So I got to stay away from him for now.
Yeah, he came into the season with that groin injury, and we were kind of worried about it. He's been playing through it, and the encouraging part about it is that he does get some receiving work, but Chuba Hubbard's been outplaying him, and Chuba Hubbard's known the system. He's been there for longer. I think they're paying Miles Sanders $5 million a year, which in running back terms seems like $100 million a year. But yeah,
7 million.
Chuba Hubbard's it's 7 million. Damn. Yeah, Chuba Hubbard's really cutting into that workload. He's the more explosive back, it seems, as of right now. He is getting more targets and more of a snap percentage. So I could
You know what's
definitely see that.
crazy?
What's up?
So the Panthers are paying Sanders 7 million a year, and the Eagles' whole backfield is making $7 million a year. Take that
Oh
in.
man,
Jeez,
that's
bro.
Swift,
crazy.
Gainwell, Scott, and Penny.
All
Yeah.
four
That's
of them?
crazy.
Oh my
Combined
God.
7 million.
Yeah. Shout
Wow.
out Howie Roseman, man. Howie Roseman has been the best GM in the league for the last couple years, I think. He brought AJ Brown to
He's
the
been
Eagles.
unreal.
You
Yeah.
know what, man? Snowman shits on my Raiders every week. I don't even want to talk about how good the Eagles are, but you gotta give your props to Howie Roseman because he's put such a great team, and the only hole it seems like they have is against tight ends. Like tight ends are scoring on the left, right, and center.
Yeah.
Even though wide receivers are playing really good against them, they still have talented players on that back end. So yeah, man, the Eagles are looking really good. I could definitely see that sit there for sure.
Uh,
Who's your other sit, man?
I got wide receiver Cortland Sutton. It's hard to sit Sutton. He's averaging 11 yards per game, or 11 fantasy points per game. He's usually a high end wide receiver 3, low end wide receiver 2, but he's about to get sauced this week. Okay, he's going against this really good Jets secondary. It's a tough matchup, and Ahmad Sauce Gardner is going to be following him around. And the Jets have allowed the 4th fewest points to wide receivers. Sutton has scored a touchdown in almost every game except for one. But the Jets have yet to allow a perimeter wide receiver to find the end zone this year. So this is a tough matchup for
Dude,
Sutton.
how sick is that name though? Sauce Gardner. Like
That's so good, man.
that's
That's a
too
that's
much
a big
sauce.
name.
You
Yeah.
know what the best part about it? He lives up to the name. Like
Oh
he's
yeah.
got the sauce, man.
Yeah.
Ahmad Sauce Gardner, that guy's a baller. He's shutting down everybody. Like him and Sertan. I don't know what the hell's going on with the Broncos because Sertan's a formidable corner, but him and Sertan, it's so crazy to think that they're two of the top 5 corners and they've been in the league for under 3 years. You know?
Mm.
Wild. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough playing against that Jets secondary for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, so if you had to make a choice between all of our starts here, who do you think would be the best start? So I
Oh,
had Isiah Pacheco against Minnesota and Michael Pittman against Tennessee. Sean, who did you have again?
Garrett Wilson and Zay Flowers.
Garrett Wilson and Zay Flowers, and you had
Brees Hall and Christian Watson.
so who do you think out of all those guys, who's gonna have the best fantasy day?
Hey, if they're letting Brees Hall let loose against that Denver's defense, I'm going
I
Brees
was
Hall,
gonna go
man.
Brees. I would go Brees as well, just out of
Man,
those 6
it,
there.
it, it might have to be Brees Hall. See, for me, it was either Brees Hall or Pacheco.
Yeah,
These two
that's fair.
guys. The only reason why I kind of I'm hesitating going with Brees Hall is just because he did show us flashes of it, and coaches can say this and coaches can say that, but you never actually know until the game happens,
So
right?
you see it, yeah. And Dalvin Cook's still there for sure. There is
Dalvin,
still a bit of risk, but
there is still a bit of risk, but I think he definitely has the highest upside. Like he could be the guy that'll score 30 to 40 points for you, I think, this week. Pacheco, I think, would be like more of your safer start for sure. Now, okay, so
yeah.
on the reverse side of it, who do you think's
Wait,
gonna have
wait.
what?
First, we gotta let Sean announce his 2 sits.
Oh yeah, I got a couple sits before we
Oh,
decide on the
damn,
worst one.
my
Yeah.
bad, homie.
No worries, bro. No worries.
Jesus. Sean, who are your
Uh,
six?
all right, brother. I got one that is going to be tough to do for anyone who drafted him, but I'm going with the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, and that's Joe Burrow. Joe Shiesty, man, he's hurt. Unfortunate, he's playing hurt. He can't move the ball down the field in any way. That calf is obviously affecting him. He scored 3 points, 16 points, 9 points, and 4.7 fantasy points in the first 4 weeks, respectively. That's a
Damn, bro.
quarterback. There are defenses that have scored more points than him. In
Yeah.
fact, if you add up everything that he's done, Seattle might have outscored him in just 1 week of points. I mean, it's unbelievable. I know it's tough because of the draft capital involved, and obviously he's a star. But I would rather play guys like Sam Howell. I'd even go to Joshua Dobbs before I start Burrow this week until we just
Ooh,
see a little bit
sleeper.
more out of him. So sit Joe Shiesty this week. And I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I'm pretty confident in that. Just until at least I see
Damn,
something.
bro. You would start Josh Dobbs over Joe Burrow?
Yeah, I would.
You
Yeah,
know they're going
bro.
against each other this week, right?
And you know
That's the
what? The
matchup.
Cardinals defense has been pretty like it's surprisingly good. Like it's not awful. And
They're
I'm
not the
talking like
worst.
and if you've got Joe Burrow who's putting up 4.7 fantasy points or 9 or 3, so 3 of the 4 weeks he's scored that little. I can't afford to have that coming from my QB slot, especially if you're 0-4, 1-3, 2-2. Like every point matters so much that like if I can get even 15 out of Dobbs, I know that's a bigger floor than what Burrow has done. So yeah, I'd start Dobbs over Burrow this week.
I would too. Other than week one, Dobbs has scored
Damn.
25 points, 17 points, and 23 points. And he did it against the
Oh,
Giants,
shit.
the Cowboys, and the
The
Niners defenses.
Cowboys, yeah, he's done it against good teams. Like this is not like a fluke. This is something that regardless of whether Kyler comes back or Dobbs is in, Marquise Brown has been getting work. Michael Wilson has been coming in and getting work.
Zach
I
Ertz.
think that's a great play. Yeah, Zach Ertz has been consistent and
Yeah.
so good, man. Like I can't really go wrong
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, Zach Ertz is actually second in targets out of all tight ends right now.
Crazy.
33-year-old Zach Ertz
Yeah.
is second in targets. Josh Dobbs, damn, bro, I didn't even look at Josh Dobbs like that. He's balling out like that.
Bro,
Gee,
you gotta think, yeah, Marquise Brown is a top 20 wide receiver this year. He's flown
Hmm.
under the radar, and that's from Josh Dobbs, man. This guy is, he's not doing anything crazy, but
He's
very
pissed, man.
underrated.
Couldn't
yeah,
find
Yeah.
his jersey at the
yeah,
at the store there.
Yeah, no doubt, yeah.
Put some
poor guy.
respect on his name.
Yeah, man, poor guy can't even buy his own jersey at the stadium, but we're starting him over Joe Shiesty, man.
Yeah. Yeah, man, crazy.
No,
My
Cardinals, what are
for
you
my
doing, man? Put some respect on this guy's name, bro. Come on, man. Anyway,
I
sorry.
did hear they rectified that, and he was able to get a jersey after, but it shouldn't have taken that.
Good. Should we give away a signed Josh Dobbs jersey at the end of the year? Man, I'm gonna have to reach out to Josh Dobbs and see maybe if he could sign us a jersey, a game day jersey for Josh Dobbs, and maybe we could give that out to somebody. We'll see what he says there. That's jokes. Who's
Yeah.
your other set, man?
My other sit is someone that we've talked about a couple weeks ago. One of us even had him as a start, but I think that's because he's the GM of that player, and that's running back of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Najee Harris. In 2 quick words, it's over. Najee is not who he used to be. He's slow. He's inefficient. He doesn't pass the eye test, and he's not even the best running back on his own team. Jaylen Warren will continue to eat into the work, and I'd even go on to say that Najee won't be startable moving forward unless the matchup is just too good to pass up. They also play the Ravens this week, who have been tough against the run and only allowed 1 rushing touchdown this year to a running back. He had a big reception last week that kind of really helped his day out, but he only played 49% of the snaps to Warren's 49%. And Warren's snap percentage just in the first 4 weeks has gone up consistently from 40 to 43% to 45% to last week at 49%. I expect to see that trend continue. So hopefully you didn't draft him. And if you did, I hope you're putting him on the bench this week.
Najee is a Najee for me.
Najee, yeah, it's over, man.
I can see that. Actually, funny story I heard when I was listening to Sirius XM Radio, my boy Fabiano on Fantasy Dirt, and they were talking about how there's a rumor going around that Matt Canada, the offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers, has a burner account. And he's been commenting on all these posts of people chirping him and chirping the Steelers. And one of his things said that it's not the coaching. Coaching is always predictable in the NFL. The thing is, the Pittsburgh Steelers don't have the players to make that happen. Now, it's like, Matt Canada, bro, you're 29th in total offense. You had I think it was less than 16 touchdowns last year or something like that. Brother, give it a break. You know how they found out? I heard that he used like an old work email or something.
Oh, man.
Listen.
You hear stories like this, that's crazy. But, man, you got to be careful with the burners, especially if you're going to do something that could hurt your team or your reputation.
Shout out KD.
Listen, man, the only reason why you have a burner and you feel the need to go talk your shit to all these nobodies or all these random fans is because you feel some type of way about it. You know what I mean? You're an NFL offensive coordinator. There's only 30 of those jobs or 32 of those jobs, right? And you got one of those jobs and what you're doing on your spare time is commenting on other people's posts. Listen, brother, you need to go watch some film. You need to get out there. You need to stop commenting on people's stuff and go out there and maybe perform. Because no offense, man, I'm not one for anyone to get fired or anything, but the Pittsburgh Steelers, they do have talent. Kenny Pickett, sure, he struggled, but you're telling me that you wouldn't want Deontay Johnson? You wouldn't want George Pickens? Najee Harris showed flashes of it. I don't know, like he was pretty decent. Maybe it's this coaching staff that sucks. Who knows? Mike Tomlin loves Matt Canada, so maybe he won't let him go. He did say that there are going to be some changes made, but brother, you're a grown ass man. Get the hell off the social media and stop commenting on people's posts. And if you're gonna do it from a burner account, be smart enough to not do it from your work email.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro. And you know what?
That's wild.
And if I'm wrong and this story is fake and this story doesn't come out to be true and someone was just trolling, I'll apologize. I know he'll never see it, but I'll apologize anyway. You know what I mean?
But he still needs to focus on doing his job better because, as you said, 29th in offensive efficiency. There's a lot of room for improvement there, and it doesn't look like it's going any better than it was originally.
Yeah, man, Matt Canada pissing me off, bro. George Pickens and Deontay Johnson. Yeah, we got a guy in our fantasy league. You know, it's okay. He doesn't really understand how to say people's names so too well, so he calls Deontay Johnson Denote. So that's a long joke that we have going on there. But yeah, man, any sneaky starts or any sneaky sits that you guys got to end this off?
I think it's all systems go on anyone playing against the Broncos. So usually you may not be able to start all your Jets. You got to start them this week. I think you could probably still start, like as I said, we're sitting Joe Burrow, but you're still starting Jamar Chase. If Higgins is out, Boyd might be interesting because when one of the two of Jamar Chase or T. Higgins are out, Tyler Boyd really does perform pretty well. So he's kind of a sleeper, especially with the bye weeks. I don't know if you guys are in a position, but in one of my leagues, I've only got two good receivers ready to go. So I have to pick someone up off the wire to kind of fill in for those bye weeks. So that's something that you can kind of look at. But yeah, outside of that, I kind of mentioned the guys that I've got my focus on, and that's where I'll be this week.
Man, I wish I could pick up Tyler Boyd. Man, I have Mike Evans hurt with a hamstring and he's on bye. I have T. Higgins with broken ribs. Like I got Zay Jones who's got a knee issue. I got tons of injuries right now, man. I'm dying. Now, one of my leagues I'm 4-0, and this league I'm 2-2, and these injuries are starting to pile up. So yeah, man, I wish I could pick up somebody like a Tyler Boyd. And another sleeper pickup that you guys might want is Michael Wilson. This guy's been playing very well, and he's been very serviceable, you know. So Michael Wilson from the Arizona Cardinals, crazy Arizona Cardinals. Mike Wilson is a playable NFL player this week or a fantasy player this week. So shout out Mike Wilson, man.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Yeah, we were just talking about Dobbs. It's been Hollywood and it's been Michael Wilson. So,
and
100%.
Can I just give a little bit of appreciation to James Conner too?
Man,
I'm playing great. Yeah.
Shout out.
Something
James
sticks
Conner.
out in the beginning of the season. Something really stuck out to me when we were doing one of my drafts is a live draft. So we have two keepers and then we go through our draft and it's live. So we got all the guys there. And it came to my pick, and I had the first pick overall. So I had two picks in a row for Snake, and I needed a running back. I knew I needed a running back, and the only guy that I saw that had a path to success in fantasy, in my eyes at the time, was James Conner. And when I said it, people made fun of me because of like how indifferent I was. Like, okay, well, if I have to, I'll take James Conner, I guess. And honestly, man, I have been like pleasantly surprised with James Conner on my team. He's been doing work, especially that game against Dallas or San Fran. Man, they really surprised me with the work he put in.
Saying Sean gave a little bit of one of these.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right? Shout out James Conner, man. James Conner appreciation post. He's had such a tough life, and he went through that whole cancer bit, and he came back stronger than ever. He took over Le'Veon Bell's job. Everyone thought it was gonna be like just Pittsburgh's offensive system, which is funny because Najee Harris ain't doing nothing now. And you put James Conner on the Cardinals, who everyone expected to be the worst team in the league, and look what he's doing, man. So shout out James Conner, man. I want to give an appreciation to that guy because he might be carrying some of your fantasy teams right now where some of the other studs are not.
100%.
All right, cool. So yeah, those are some starts and sits for you guys this week. Couple sleepers that you could pick up, a couple appreciation posts. Remember, guys, to follow us on IG at GameDayGoons.tv, on TikTok at Game Day Goons, and on YouTube at Game Day Goons, so we can get you covered for all your fantasy news, all of your culture, all the breaking news, and all types of sports. We got you guys covered. Game Day, we out.